Hopefully, this is all the music that we're playing is royalty free.
Well, sadly, we are not monetized, so it's completely irrelevant.
Well, but they can't give us a strike, can't they?
They cannot.
Have you ever been struck before, young man?
All the time. We've had copyright strikes on us since day one. They don't do anything. We just can't monetize those.
Well, they have. The first time we got a strike was when we played the Oscars live, and they gave me what's that? Total difference.
We didn't get a strike for that, did we?
Yes, we did.
Do you remember? Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but yeah, replaying television you can't do.
And I remember, and then the last strike we got, you gave it to us because you were talking about
the truth.
Yeah. You were giving your bullshit opinion again. You're getting us kicked out of the restaurant. You know,
if you're touching so many chords, then why don't you anything that you say have any strikes? Well, because you're talking about the mainstream narrative. You're taking the conversation where they want you to. So if I say something and it gets a strike, it's not because it's a lie. It's because of the exact opposite. But they sure make you feel that way.
Yeah. Well, it's an opinion you can't express openly on this platform, of course, and there are things you cannot express.
And do you think it's because it's misguided, or do you think it's because it's spot on?
I have no idea what the reason is for people.
Why would they strike you if you were off the mark? They wouldn't. You answered your own question.
Yeah. You know what? People strike people for many, there may be a noble reason, they're using the guise of a noble reason, but I can't know what is in somebody's heart.
There is nothing noble about shutting people's opinions down. Nothing.
You're right on that.
Happy New Year, almost, people. Jeepers. Are we really approaching New Year's Eve? Yeah.
We are approaching that. Tomorrow will be New Year's Eve,
December 30th, 2021 is almost in the can, and I don't think this year can get gone fast enough. Wow.
Yeah, it's been a horrible year. It really has been a tough year for a lot of people, Joe. And,
no doubt.
You know what?
Yeah.
I was actually, and I was considering this story. This was a story about my old man. And I think a lot of my stories, if they're going to be about my family members, probably more about my old man.
Right.
And my old man, when he was 11 years old, had the living shit kicked out of him he said by a group of about 5 guys.
Uh-huh.
And they used brass knuckles on him, and they kicked dog shit into his hair. And afterwards, his father, my grandfather, took him to the boxing gym where he learned to defend himself.
Brian, that was in a day when parenting really mattered. It really did.
Well, I'll tell you something. People think of the nifty 50s, but there was a lot of violence and, the stuff that my old man told me, things are not necessarily how they seem. This was 1951, either 1951 or 1952, that he was beaten up and assaulted. And he told me that he basically tracked those guys down, or most of them down, and one of them, I believe, he said, hid from him in a bathroom because he chased him down. My dad was a little bit older, and my dad had a reputation of of being a rather, I think that beating gave him a lot of rage. And
Do that if it's not processed correctly, for sure.
yeah,
That could leave a lifetime of scarring.
and the guy, he chased down the guy, and he hid in a bathroom, and my dad kicked in the door, and the guy was going, "It's not me." um, and then one of the guys, he said, was really really hard headed, and he actually grounded and pounded him. But he said the guy just, because
Now, before you go doing crazy things like sending out invites to this forum, let's get some things out on the table first.
Right.
Okay, keep going.
All right. Yeah. Well, he said he said he tracked down three of them. Two of them he made cry, and the other one he spit at him the whole time, and he said pretty soon he was spitting up blood. And I think he pounded him until he knocked him unconscious. But yeah,
wow. Those are some pretty important things. I look at those situations with a lot of understanding now, and even when we were kids, man. Hold on, let me just turn this music down. This is getting a little too
turn
much.
It off.
Done. It's too much. I was just gonna kind of talk on that, like when we were young, and really, it was the first time. Now, there had always been, I mean, not always, but probably maybe since the beginning, there's always seems to have been this element of bullying. But I remember when we were kids and bullying started to become sort of a thing. Like, it was like, what do we do about this? And they hadn't taken the measures that they took in the preceding years. They started really doing the anti-bullying things in schools, probably a good 20 years after you and I were done with high school. But back then it parenting mattered, because if you were going to school and getting picked on, you needed to talk about that and make a plan, or it was going to keep happening. And you either had a good, friend, kind of nucleus of friends to go to and get with, or maybe you had really good parents who were, just taught you how to defend yourself, or maybe you just had the drive to get stronger and better at your game. And so, this whole idea, like, and the only reason I'm talking about this is because this thing that keeps popping up in my mind about self-governance, and how I don't know, how unable a lot of people seem to be when it comes to turning the corner and being able to understand that without an element of self-governance, it's just, things are just going to continue to steamroll and get worse and worse. But man, getting back even to that place where we were when we were young, and there was still that opportunity to self-govern, it just seems like that's so smushed out, and there's no critical thinking being taught, and there's all these issues now that I see. But whatever, it's not my generation.
I mean, and I just also wanted to say that people think of the 50s as an innocent generation, but I think one of the people my father had beaten up came from a rather large family, and a large kind of gang family, and one of the girls family members who my brother had beaten, that my father had beaten up, he said that she came to his place with a knife and said she was gonna cut his dick off. I mean, they were brutal. I mean, these gangs were somewhat brutal back then. and kind of had to watch yourself.
Now, are we going to do some sort of prognostication, some sort of prediction show for next year? I don't know. Hopefully you
I'd like
won't.
to do it either tomorrow or tomorrow or Saturday or Sunday would be, or Saturday. But I don't know if you're going to be around. Now,
I'm going to be out of town again, so maybe I'll be able to pull it off. So
now, Republic of Liberty is asking to come on our show and asking for a link. What do you say, Joey, for that?
Depends on where you want to go. If we're not doing predictions, let's go.
Yeah. All right. We can bring on the Republic of Liberty. All right. So he's got a link. He may be in, he may not be in.
He may not.
Knowing him as, he is a person that is rather self-obsessed. So
he is right now eating a Thai ham sandwich.
Yeah, he loves talking about his food and all of the so-called women he is with. He is very much a braggart. And, that's, you, on the internet, you come across a lot of different types of people and human beings.
Yes.
And Howard is just one of those human beings. He's left the country. He lives fairly well.
I refuse to make this show about this guy. Screw you, Howard. You suck.
There we go. We have the man himself.
Yes, he has named himself Riding Omicron.
There we go. There we go. That'll
right.
get us demonetized again. If we
Why would I say that?
I'm guessing maybe somebody went COVID positive.
Yeah, me.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Now, listen to this. Listen to this. 3 people tested at my house the other day. 2 people showed positive on the tests.
Oh, shoot.
And 1 did not.
And the one was you, right? Or do you have COVID?
I do not.
How have you, Joey, kept from getting COVID? How is that possible?
He hasn't.
He
had it before.
I live a clean life, perfectly sterile, and
none of that works.
Focused on an end game, which is just so earth-shattering. No, it was it was strange to me. Even I was shocked. But yeah, both
I
were
tested negative.
Both were fully vaxxed. But yeah, go ahead.
I tested negative.
Oh.
But I've had a brain fog the last couple of days. I'm just reduced to watching videos, Westerns mostly.
Yes.
And then I looked up the symptoms of Omicron, and I've got them all.
There we go. Now, donning armor.
Why would you bring up that Antifa slut?
Okay. Well, he was saying he was really upset, and he was saying he was looking for someone to verbally smash. And
oh, really?
We're not.
Like I care.
Yeah, there you go.
As if I care one whit. I wouldn't even give him a micron of a whit.
There we go.
He's Antifa. As far as I'm concerned, he's a scumbag.
Give me a break. That's not true. I shouldn't have brought him up.
He lauded Antifa on your show.
Nonsense.
Go back to listen to your show, and you'll hear it. I know which show it was. He lauded Antifa. He said they had his respect.
He said he loved
don't tell me fucking nonsense. You should pay more attention to what happens on your show.
I know exactly.
Stop being so damn lazy.
He said he loved them because they were fellow whites. on
I'm
average.
sorry. Did you just tell me that was nonsense, and now you're telling me it happened? Now,
Okay.
why should I believe anything you say from now on?
Okay. Don't believe anything I say.
Your credibility has just crumbled
Hmm.
in front of nobody because nobody listens to this show.
Well,
Stop smacking your lips.
I'm sorry. I was having a cough drop.
You don't want to go down in terms of being a lip smacker, do you?
No, I don't like. You know what? I don't like it in other people, and I don't like it in myself either.
That's right. How about your inability to admit truth?
5 million people right now, I think, in Los Angeles County have reported a positive.
Yeah, it's like the common cold. It's certainly not a flu.
No,
It's
not
like a cold. It's dry cough, sneezing, dry cough, sneezing. That brain fog, that's for sure. You don't lose sense of taste or smell. Well, that's a good thing.
And it's certainly just as it's described in the medical books. COVID, that's a common
Yes.
cold. So nothing surprising there, at least in my view.
I'm wondering, like this time next year, will we still be under the same rules of the pandemic?
Yes.
No, it's not going away. If
Now,
that's
Look, you should know that it's a fraud by what they came out with right after this Omicron started going around the world, and they made it out to be the devil himself. They made it out to sound worse than Delta, which shows you what a fraud they are. They're even easier to spot than you.
now, Miss Maxwell's conviction. What do you think is going to come of that?
I'm sorry. What does that have to do with COVID?
I'm
The
changing the
idiot who
subject.
loves Antifa.
I am
Idiot who
changing.
loves Antifa.
I am
willing to
changing the subject. I have the right to do that.
Why are you raising your voice?
I'm raising my voice.
Just talking. Chill out.
Are you emotional?
He's
I am not emotional. You asked me a question, and I said because I felt like changing the subject. Not that I'm angry, but if you want to continue to talk about the pandemic, or you want to talk about any number of subjects, you can always make your own show.
No, do you know? Oh, you can always make your own show.
Yes.
That makes me want to cough. Have you?
Let's go.
Do you know anybody with the COVID?
Yeah.
I know people with COVID.
Are they dying?
No.
Nobody.
Do you want them to die?
I don't want anyone to die.
That's not true.
Unless they hurt me. Well, you know what? I mean, Or do you want
Here it
anyone?
comes.
Do you want anyone to die, Howard?
Oh, lots of people. And I want them to die horribly. In fact, it would be justice if they would get the Delta variant, the last one, and die a horrible, disgusting, painful death.
Hmm.
Can you think of somebody that would deserve that?
No.
Nobody in government?
You know what? I will not be sad if the deceivers of this friggin' world all drop dead. It just
okay. There you go. See, doesn't that make you feel better?
Well, I don't wish it upon them. I just really don't care.
Why don't you wish it upon them? They're evil.
Well, I'd like them to go away. I guess that's one way of getting that done.
Fits the bill.
Fits the bill. Yeah, it does. It doesn't make me feel better to think that way. I wish, there was a different way, of course, but for a lot of people, it just seems like a lost cause, and things
You
need to get better.
sat and listened. You sat and listened to Brian
Yes.
opine about his very violent father.
Yes.
Pummeling somebody until they coughed up blood.
Yes.
And you didn't say anything that was that was bad.
I don't know the situation well enough but I do know his dad.
Well, how many situations have you come across where you know somebody that pummeled somebody into the point at which they start spitting up blood?
It was a different world, I think, when that happened. It just was.
Yeah.
Things like that.
And the son
doesn't make
talks
it better.
about it, and the son talks about it lovingly.
Well, no, he was. My father was assaulted and had dog shit kicked in his hair, and was beaten with brass knuckles. And he tracked a few of them down, and he sought out revenge.
So, busted lung is the same as dog shit in the hair?
From my understanding, they attacked him without provocation, and they beat him unjustly. And
But
what
he
did,
attacked them with provocation.
well, again, he was getting. You know what? They inflicted pain on him first, and he did. He did like. I mean, and then he did what was done to him even worse, perhaps.
It's a true story.
I'm sure it was. I'm hearing the remnants of an abusive father coming out of the son.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, he could be that way, but a lot of people had parents. I mean, we're not raised by angels, Howard. We're raised by human beings.
I'm sorry. What does other people have to do with you?
Well, I was not raised by an angel. I was raised by a very flawed human being.
Did you want to kill him?
Yes, when I was younger, yes, I did.
What stopped you?
Jail.
Lots of people gotten away with murder. You could have figured a way out.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, and someone said my father used to tell me if someone hurt you, hurt them back 10 times harder. And Howard, I think you kind of would agree with that to a degree.
The Jew gets revenge in his own way.
Yes, but you will inflict pain on those who inflict pain on you.
I've never inflicted pain on anyone. Mental anguish, horror. Oh, yes.
Isn't that considered pain, Howard?
No. Any more than eating is a feeling. Dumbest thing I ever heard.
Probably. Now, we do have Donning Armor with us. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Oh, well, isn't that nice? Does he have his Antifa sock ready?
Well, I don't believe that he's Antifa.
He won't admit that he's not.
I admit that he's not. I do not believe that at all.
I didn't ask you if you admitted he was not. He won't admit that he is not.
He did.
No, he didn't. Why don't you flat out ask him if he's Antifa?
Donning, are you Antifa?
No.
There you
Has
go.
he ever been to an Antifa rally?
No.
Does he support Antifa?
I have with Brian.
Yeah, well, we were at Occupy. Okay, we were at Occupy Wall Street.
I'm sorry, there was no Antifa back then, was there?
Yes, there was.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Antifa took over Occupy, and it was Occupy LA, and I had two. Did I have 3 signs or 2 signs?
We each had signs.
Yeah, I was Mr. Midnight. This was when I was Mr. Midnight Movie, and Joe was Jewish producer. And
yes. Why are you no longer Mr. Midnight Movie?
Well, I carried a sign that said, "Where's the toilet? I need to take a shit."
Yeah.
And Brian had I forgot what yours was.
Let's. What
Where's
was
mine? Right?
mine? Give me. I want mine. Give me.
Yeah.
And some guy came up to us, and I was dressed up, and some dude came up to us, and he had his hands wrapped, in boxing gear. He was a black gentleman, but I think he was kind of Antifa. And he was, because I was joking around, and a lot of these people, they were violent, and they did not like the jokes, and they were about Antifa. And it was kind of when wokeness was taking kind of a power, and I was kind of, I didn't want the guy to assault me. I didn't know what skills he had as a fighter, but he was a person that looked like he was Antifa.
I highly suggest that both of you, don't do that again. Those are dangerous places. You can get yourself in trouble as white men.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that. That's not a smart thing to do.
I will also say that perhaps hell has frozen over because I completely agree with Howard. Uh, I I do not subscribe to this notion that we should love our enemies. I believe in destroying them.
I guess I agree with you on that too. I don't know
pure
if
Antifa style.
What's that?
Howard, am I the only? What am I? Antifa or a white supremacist? Please make up your mind.
So you'd like to destroy the opposition so there's only one point of view.
Sir.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you know what? For me, opposition like Antifa only wants one point of view themselves. So those people I would like to destroy. Yes. I don't want to destroy everybody, but people who promote physical violence the way that they do, yeah, they should be destroyed. Certain dishonorable people should be destroyed. Go ahead, Donning. I'm sorry.
No, no need to be sorry. I don't. Antifa. First of all, we shouldn't allow these people to name themselves. They're not anti-fascists. If anything, they're pro-fascistic. Um, I want to destroy my enemies. Now, if it's an Antifa member that hates whites and wants to destroy the lives, culture, beauty of the white race, then I wish them destruction. If it's anybody else, I wish them destruction as well. I don't pick and choose on necessarily political lines. And I apologize, Brian, about my last performance. Hey, life happens, and sometimes you get mad. No, I believe that if your culture, your in group is threatened, doesn't matter where it comes from, or if there are those that victimize and hurt the vulnerable, yeah, those people should be destroyed.
I kind of agree with you. And how you go about destroying them is one thing, because sometimes people are so powerful that there's not a whole hell of a lot that you can do. Sometimes you are in a vulnerable spot. At this point, the best thing that you can do right now is to keep out of a vulnerable position, because fighting directly, you're going to lose. They have not only the numbers behind them, but they also have the law behind them as well. That's what I see.
I'd like to hear what the Mossad agent has to say about this.
I bet you would.
Come on, Irv Rubin. Tell him what you feel.
I told you I'm in a COVID fog. I just took my ivermectin and I'm resting.
Well, let the spirit of Meyer Kahan inspire you, and let's hear what you have to say.
Also, before that happens, I hope we are not making people confused and conflicted. Some people are, but
About what?
that's just the comment I'm reading here in the chat room, and there should be none of that. We should get that resolved immediately. The solution is to call in, of course.
Little Nikki needs a good fucking. That'll unconfuse her quickly.
Oh, how dare you?
Jesus Christ, Howard. You're just such a vulgarian.
He is a white rose petal on our show, so don't you dare.
Yeah.
I bet you she'd like a good fucking. Ask her.
Jesus, Howard. You are no gentleman, and you are disgracing the spirit of Rabbi Meyer Kahan and the rest of the J.
By the way,
Go ahead.
I experienced splitting.
Your hairs or your ass?
See, that's an interesting question to put out there. It was a statement. Your reaction to that shows where your mind is. JP knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Mm.
Leave,
Do you not? Do you
leave,
not?
leave little Nikki out of this. I mean, surely there's plenty of underage Thai girls out there for you, right?
See, Nikki appreciates the offer. She knows. Another time and place, she would have loved a good fucking.
Oh, great. Anyways, move on.
Yeah, Howard.
Splitting. What do you know about splitting?
This show has gone to the dregs. Well,
I know plenty. I studied object relation therapy, and that was my basically my favorite methodology of use, and splitting is a big part of that.
Borderline personality disorder.
Yes. There's a lot of that I've heard that there is a lot of that, or there's a person with a show called the Disaffected Podcast who said that there's a lot of cluster B amongst the woke left.
Well, let's be clear about one thing. First of all, to little Nikki, I wasn't offering to fuck you myself. I was hoping that Brian would, because he needs a good ejaculation. Back to splitting. I experienced splitting with somebody who definitely has, and I diagnosed as having borderline personality disorder. Didn't know what splitting was until last night.
Oh, yeah, it explains so many things, but it's also a bit. It's a very, very difficult assessment. Again, it's not a very common sort of diagnoses, but it happens. I mean, it's out there. It's definitely out there.
Oh well,
JP,
the crazy ex-girlfriend she suffers from borderline personality disorder, and I didn't know what to call her behavior, but now I do. It's splitting.
JP, do you have
Nobody was asking.
Is that your field?
Yeah, I have a background in psychotherapy. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that explains a lot. Thank
you. I suspect what she called me up to tell me. I suspect what she called me up to tell me that the boyfriend, the one from America that came to visit, stole 10,000 baht from her out of her motorbike. And I very calmly asked her if she was sure that it wasn't in the motorbike and not at home. And I haven't heard from her since. She went and got the police on this guy. She went to immigration. This guy has no idea what he's dealing with. I wish I could tell him.
Now, Howard, do you think has anyone ever like seen you and seen your behavior and accused you of being a borderline personality disorder, maybe a narcissist,
No.
an egotist, maybe?
No.
You don't think you're either one of those, Howard?
I think Debbie Daly only told us in private.
Yeah. Sorry. But you don't think that you are a narcissist?
So far, that I've heard 3 different diagnoses.
What are they, please?
Why did you bring them up? Why didn't you stick to one of them?
Creepy definitely was one of them.
Yeah, one of them called you creepy.
Is that right?
Yes, he did.
Uncharming was the other.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
Yes.
No, if there's anything you have, it's some charisma and charm, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Not today. I tell you, I'm really muted today.
You are out of sorts today. I can tell.
Yeah. No, this is real. It's
with a big minus sign there in front of it.
I kept thinking to myself that I had that what they call the COVID fog, and I do.
Mm-hmm.
Who feels well under those conditions? Nobody. No matter what, it's always been that way.
And I'm only good I'm only good for talking to people like you, Brian.
Yeah, there we go. Well, when you're filled up when you're filled up with ladyboy love, you're gonna have that COVID Omicron.
Well, tell me how that works. Tell me about that. That's not something you have in Los Angeles. I think you have that in Los Angeles, don't you?
Well,
Howard, can you be truthful? Are you drunk right now?
Nobody's. Apparently, you don't pay attention. I just said I've got COVID brain fog. Pay attention.
I asked you if you're drunk, right? I didn't ask you about COVID, Howard. I asked you if you're drunk right now.
I'm only going to say this about Howard. I don't really know him or associate him as a drinker. I don't recall any time really when you've talked with us when you were having a drink even. But maybe I'm wrong.
That's because I never have.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't drink.
I think he's drunk on Ladyboy.
Your lack of logic, donning armor.
I'm just asking you a simple question. You don't drink, so you've answered the question. Thank you.
Kindred spirits. You're looking for common ground.
Ladyboy fog. Go ahead.
You have ladyboys in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
What's your fascination?
No,
do you think that ladyboys only exist in Thailand?
I think that they are more prevalent in Thailand.
How do you know that? What do you base that on?
I base that on what I have heard and seen. I watch a lot of travel. I watch a lot of travel videos.
Heard from where?
From the travel videos that I've watched, Howard. Brazil.
So
Brazil.
That includes
Brazil and Thailand have a lot of ladyboys, and you said this yourself, Howard.
Now I'm going to say this, and neither of you may agree with me or not, but Hollywood is completely full of that element. So, LA certainly does have its fair share.
Certainly that is the truth. However, I've spent quite some time in Southeast Asia. The societies are far more accepting of it. Mm-hmm. Hollywood is Hollywood. Hollywood is not Southern California.
You spend time where?
Excuse me?
You spent time where?
I told you, Southeast Asia.
Yeah, where in Southeast Asia? See, that's like I go on Tinder, I meet these women, I set my my limits so that I only get where I live. And when I lived in Bangkok, I would say, "Where do you live?" And they'd say, "Bangkok."
I've only been to Thailand for about 3 days.
Ethnicity.
3 days. 3 days. Well done, sir. You made yourself an expert in Southeast Asia via Thailand for
Yeah, I've
3
I've also
days.
spent um, maybe 7 or 8 months inside of Southeast Asia, but different places. So, and I do
Well,
know that
I asked you.
ladyboys.
I
Not,
asked you
I'm not
where.
here to just accuse you of doing ladyboys. I think you're a pedophile, but I could be wrong. Maybe you're there building hospitals, like you say.
So let me see if I understand the logic in your head. If you're not building a hospital, then you must be a pedophile.
I don't think you're building hospitals. I think that
Well, why
you're.
don't you answer that question? That's exactly what
I'm
you just
answering the
said.
question if you'd shut up and let
If
me
I'm not
respond.
building a
If I
hospital, I
can't
must be.
respond, then I can't respond if you talk over me, right?
Well, please enlighten us with your information from your 3
Okay,
days in
so shut
Thailand.
the fuck up for like 3 minutes. Uh,
You seem a bit perturbed, Donning Armor. Are you?
I am perturbed. I'm an angry person. Like Brian, I struggle with my anger issues.
That's correct.
Hear ye, hear ye.
You still
Do
haven't
you
shut up, have you?
do you
What
mute
is
those
up, what is
issues
up with
with?
these people? Like, we all know you're in Thailand, fucking little kids. Now, I've spent about 6 months in Philippines. I've spent time in Singapore. I've been to Korea. I've been to China. I've been to I already said Singapore, Malaysia. I've been to Thailand and Vietnam. And I know there's pretty much only one reason why people like you go there.
I'll just step in and say that from what I know, and it's going to sound like I'm siding with Howard. I'm not. I'm only going with what I know, and that's that he's a dedicated father, and he was married to somebody that from there. So, I don't necessarily
Yes, I
go
think it could be
there. I mean,
clearly stated. I didn't make a baby with a lady boy.
that's true, but that's also, you know,
Well, she tried to put a baby in you, maybe.
maybe you had the baby, correct?
You know, it's interesting that Brian always goes back to the ass. How would she do that, Brian?
What, make it? I don't know.
What is your fascination with ass?
Big bouncy Brazilian ones preferred.
Love those. Beautiful.
Right. You secretly desire one to shit on you, yes?
No,
You know what?
No,
I'd be down for a golden shower. I'm just saying. I'm not out there looking for it, but not the
do
worst.
not confuse Brian with me. I'm the one that wants to get shat on.
do you really?
Holy moly! Going for the big kahuna.
No wonder Hake is.
What is it with your fascination with ass,
By
Brian?
the way, I want to mention that Hake is unsubscribed from my channel, and I think it's because of talk like this.
Oh man, that
You
sucks.
Wait,
Hake
you
subscribe to you
initiated it.
wait, Brian. Because of what?
Because of talk like
because
this.
we're talking.
Oh, come on! What?
But James Hake thinks "poo-poo" is a bad word. Listen,
Hey,
he's a
show.
man child, and
Hey,
I love James Hake. I wish the best for him, but he's
yeah.
been he's been broken. I think he was broken. I think he experienced a traumatic childhood himself, not through abuse, but through religious zealotry of the wrong kind. Um, and I'm not doing this to talk crap on Hake. And I don't know if Howard's having sex with underage girls, but I wouldn't be surprised. But maybe he is over there building hospitals. Um,
Brian,
but
you
it
got to
is
call.
unfortunate.
You got to find out why, because if anybody could benefit from a wider variety of voices coming through his show, it'd be him. I'm just saying.
Who, Hake?
Yeah, he's a really good host. He should have,
He
should be
he's
willing
a
to go.
really good host. The guy's he's 40 years old going on 14. I mean, it's kind of sometimes, to be honest with you, pathetic to listen to his show. And I like James Hake. I listen to his show.
Well, no, I think he's rather interesting, and I think he tells a lot of truths. And he does do it in a non-angry, bombastic way. and I do like that about him. He kind of inspires me to a degree. I mean, there's a part of me that wishes I don't agree with everything that he says, and I think having his a Confederate flag on his computer and stuff is unnecessarily inflammatory. But I do like the way he goes about things, and some of the things that he says are kind of eye opening and true.
Yeah, well, I follow his show for a reason as well, and there are particular areas. I mean, I'm a regular caller of his show,
Yeah, no,
but but I suppose there's places where you could find inspiration there,
yeah.
but I'm more of a Wes Watson kind of a guy.
Wes Walson, is he? That one I have not heard of.
Yeah, check out Wes Watson.
How about Laura? Was it Laura Towler? She's. I think she's from like England. She's from England. She's pretty interesting too.
Yeah, Laura Towler. She seems like a nice young lady. She is part of Patriotic Alternative, and she works with Mark Collette. I did follow them for some time. Eventually, because I'm an American, essentially. I mean, ethnically, I am English. Grew up in an English household, but I feel uncomfortable and out of place tackling the issues that they speak about. But I think they are important issues, and I do respect both of them. We agree in certain areas, we disagree in other areas, but she does seem like a decent individual to me.
Well, I think that the issues in the Anglosphere um, are are kind of our issues, and the problems in England with regards to culture are some of the same problems that we have here, and I think they cultivated, by the way, in America. The white guilt, I think, cultivated in America, and it's made its way into many parts of Europe. At least the kind of
I,
white.
I think there's truth in what you say. I think your microphone's scratching in against your shirt, or maybe something. I'm getting a little crackly sound. Is anybody else getting that?
Yeah, I think that I'm getting. Yeah, I gotta work on my microphone a little bit. Is that better now, or are you still getting a crackling sound?
No, just do what you were doing before. Don't go back to that. It's worse.
Has it gotten worse now?
You're fine. You're fine.
JP or Howard, can you guys? What are you hearing? Are you hearing what I'm hearing? Maybe I should restart.
It might be you because I'm not hearing it.
Yeah, I'm using my computer mic. The one mic that I had before did not work properly, and I disconnected it. So I guess that is kind of a problem.
I hope you go back to it. It's much better.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't work, Joey.
It did work for a long time, and I'll set it up for you again. No problem at all. But you got to get rid of that background noise. It'll definitely help.
Yeah, you're probably right. Is there background noise? Can you hear background noise?
Not at the moment, but normally, many times I can. Anyways.
Well, little Nicky, and the only thing that I kind of care about is that little Nicky says that I am as clear as a bell. So I do like that.
I I apologize to everybody. It was on my end, so I can hear you perfectly.
One thing that's happened for sure is our sound quality has improved, and we're a little more steady than we have been for a long time.
Yeah. But the year is starting to be over, and I think I'm gonna go to bed, Joe. If you want to continue it, but I'm just gonna go around the place and ask, what do you think is going to happen in 2022? Any big new events?
Well, let's just start off by saying, listen, we're gonna have a prediction show, and you should definitely consider maybe a couple of things you may expect to see in 2022. Brian and I will have our thoughts, and that goes for anybody out there. Come come prepared, come loaded with predictions for next year. Let's see, I'll take note of it, and we'll see how we do.
Because I wonder what's going to happen with regards to the culture war.
I'm going to go and find last year's and see how we did on our predictions, see if we were anywhere close. I don't even know if we did one last year because of COVID. Maybe the year before.
And little Nikki, who's 400 pounds, is saying that she's going to lose 300. Well, good luck, Nikki. I hope you can. I'm going to try to. I want to get down to about 195. And then maybe dance on Howard's grave, maybe. But is there any prediction on our culture war?
First, you'll have to get out of the fat chair.
Well, I'm going to give my fat chair to you, Howard, when I lose my weight. And I'm going to cut a little circle in it so you can go to the bathroom. Joey, now, do you see us in a culture war? Well, first of all, do you see us in a culture war, Joe?
Culture war. I don't see that as I don't see man as the problem here.
All right. How about you, Donning? Do you see us in a culture war?
We're obviously in a culture war. JP, I would like to talk to you about this, but I guess it's your psychiatry background or psychological background, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not that smart. I see.
It's all stuff you know.
Okay. Well, I see it getting worse for white people. I see this forced integration, multiculturalism continuing and worsening.
Who's doing that?
It's just the nature of the beast. You have anything? Well, anyway, yes, I do think that it will worsen. It might subside to some extent, and maybe it won't. But the more that we integrate, the more that we forcefully integrate our nations, I see it getting worse for white people, and hopefully there won't be a pushback, but it just can't work. There's no way around it. And the virus and stuff like that, I don't know. I'm not a virologist. I couldn't tell you.
Well, zealots are pushing for certain things. I don't see integration so much as a problem as the right to mistreat people, and I will go further into that. Right now, integration for whites means that you will be mistreated. That shouldn't be the case with integration, but that's the way it is. Howard, are we in a culture war? Do you see anything about that? Do you have anything to add?
Howard's in brain fog. I'll let you know when I'm out.
There you go. Maybe you need a big suction cup to get the brain, to help your brain work,
I'd like to,
Please don't ad lib.
More on that.
Please don't ad lib. You don't know what you're doing.
Okay.
That's all we've done is ad lib for 10 years.
I'm not good at it.
I'm amazed that when I joined this show, I actually agreed completely 100% with what Howard had to say.
First time for everything?
Well, I still think he should be destroyed, and non-violently.
I personally don't want anyone destroyed, to be honest with you. I mean, as far as on this panel, no one's ever really done me wrong. They've said things that I didn't like, but other than that, I really don't care. Even the one who pulled the rug out from under me, I don't have any animosity against Lady Pinetown.
I would like to end with one final question, if I may.
Go ahead,
Howard, are you a Mossad agent?
Yes.
Howard. Well, you
There,
got.
there we go.
Well, I think you. Okay. Well, then.
Howard has the coof.
And he's a Mossad agent. I wish I was one.
Yeah.
Send me your address, Donnie Armour.
Give me a break. Get out of here. And ask for people's address. It's so stupid.
No, but uh, in all seriousness, Howard, you call yourself one angry Jew, right?
You're looking at it.
Do you call yourself one angry Jew?
Sometimes.
Okay, and are Jews, are they the same as Anglos?
Hmm.
Do we
Jews are
have the
white.
same values, the same principles, and the same goals?
I don't know. Do you have any values, principles, or goals? Name
I
them.
asked
And then
you
I'll
a
let you
question,
know.
Howard. Can you answer it for me, please?
Yeah, tell me about your goals, and I'll tell you.
Do you have the same values, culture, and goals of Anglos, Howard, as a Jew?
Is every Anglo the same? Are you that
Do you
inept?
always answer questions with a question? Can you just answer the
Oh,
question for me?
takes you a while to come. Takes you a while to figure it out, doesn't it?
Yeah, because you don't answer.
He did answer a question though.
What was that?
What was the question?
He asked him if he goes by one angry Jew, and he said sometimes.
And he also admitted to being a Mossad agent.
Close. This is about as close of an answer as you're going to get from Howard.
So it should be called American Mossad agent.
As I've stated previously, I have no ill will towards any other ethnic group, and it's cunning and it's deceitful. If somebody asks me a question, I'll give you an answer. But you ask Howard a question, and you'll get a question in return.
Is that true?
Many times that is true. He will answer a question with another question. He does that habitually, and then he'll ask questions that are not pertinent to the show. For whatever reason, sometimes he likes to throw me off. Like when I am on my screen, he'll often mention my Dyson fan. I think he wants it. Maybe I'll mail it to him in
The
Thailand.
shipping cost on that, you may as well just order one in Thailand, a brand new one. I wouldn't suggest doing that. But
Yeah.
hey, you guys ask me a question, I give you an answer. You ask him a question, and well, good luck.
Don't you deserve the prize? Let's get you something.
Well, I want to mention that I learned a little bit of self-defense by someone who was in the IDF, so I appreciate that person. He taught me some useful skills out there in the mean streets of Los Angeles.
Hey, well, we all have to defend ourselves, especially now because it's going to get worse. Multiculturalism will get worse for white people. Mark my words, you'll see.
Well, it might be that way. You might be right on that. I mean, there's a lot of abuse out there, and yeah. Well, the thing was with me in LA, she said buy a gun, good for self-defense. And in California, I mean, I can buy a gun, but it is rather difficult to. I cannot carry a gun where I live. Like concealed carry is not allowed. Anyway, I think we have joined an impasse. Joe, do you have anything to say before the show is over?
I think tomorrow night we should aim for. It's going to be horrible. Actually, yeah, nobody will be here. They'll all be partying. Nobody's going to.
They can listen to the replay.
You aim for center of mass.
You know what? Many people have COVID. They'll be home listening.
That's true.
Let's try for a prediction show tomorrow night.
All right. Or we can do it on New Year's Day.
Or New Year's Day. Either way, it's gonna be gay.
Well,
Listen, bro, don't you? It's the end of the show. You don't got to talk about Howard like that.
I
It's not
know.
cool.
Sorry, Howard. We will. I'm gonna try and get some of those older. We've done some ones in the past. I think it's been. I don't remember doing one last year, but I'll look for it and maybe I'll see how we've done.
and we've done a ghoul pool where we predicted who was going to die.
Howard, any guesses on who might die in 2022? It could
Yes.
Who do you think's going to die, Howard?
be. Who's gonna go? One
Guys,
guess.
you're asking somebody with the coof
Yeah.
who's going to die in 2022. Don't you think that's a little inappropriate?
Howard, if you die, we'll all do a remembrance show. About, you know.
It'll be our best show ever.
Yeah. Remembering Howard. I think Howard might die from the coup. So will he live to see the thing about 2022 is will Howard be alive to celebrate the new year?
Happy New Year to everybody listening, including, I guess, the one person listening, Nikki. Thank you.
Your answer is coming right now.
Yep. I think somebody got a little upset. I swear to God, he was slurring his words. I think he was drunk.
He
Or
might.
maybe been on meds or too much Cialis, possibly. I don't know if that causes slurring, but it's
Too much lady boy love in the rectum may have an effect upon him.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it doesn't
he's gonna go out the way that he wants, and that's with a 13-year-old on top of him. I'm sorry, I should have said that.
I'm not gonna go that far. That is, that. Good God.
Talk for sure.
Howard will give us a strike.
I apologize. I don't usually do that.
He is a Mossad agent after all. He'll have the IDF.
Brian's turning into a bit of a snowflake with all this censorship. It's hard to tell which way is up these days on YouTube, at least.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised that Hake is still on with the stuff that he does.
Yeah, no, Brian, I don't think is a snowflake by any means. I just think that he's trying to protect the channel. There's nothing wrong with that, man.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah.
The problem with getting a second strike is then you have to worry about every other show you've done, and it's so getting that second strike is kind of a mental fuck, and I don't want to go there either. Not with this channel.
Well, you know that's not just the way it works. You know that even if you remove past streams, like I've deleted all of my streams, I could still get strikes on those streams because Google still knows those streams, and
reviewed. Wow.
Yeah, it can still come back to haunt you. So I don't mind that Brian and we have our disagreements.
Yeah.
And the last stream that I made or that I was on, I didn't make it, but I was irate. I was sporadic. I was angry. Life happens. And I conducted myself in a manner that was unbecoming. It was certainly not stoic. And Brian, I apologize for all that stuff.
Hey, well, it's something that a lot of us we deal with. And I told you, like at the time, you felt like like, hey, we got to scream and we got to do this. But now, I don't know if you listened to the show and you listened to how you came across. But it is a sobering thing. And you know what? I've gone off half-cocked myself at times. We're not perfect human beings. And luckily, I was not on camera. And it really wasn't that bad. I've gone full, blown bananas, just rage and anger and wanting to do all kinds of horrific things to human beings. So, yeah, so we've all been there. I don't know if Joe has, but I've been like just bloodlusted rage. And,
It's happened.
yeah, I mean, people will do things to you that will, like just unbelievable piss you off. You just have to be prepared. You have to be prepared out there that human beings are going to come with the worst intent, and particularly if they disagree with you ideologically. We have seen right now there are ideological zealots out there that if you say something and have a belief that they disagree with, they will try to destroy you.
If
And
you're white.
that's correct. You're right. I mean, and even if you're black, and I mean, the truth is also, I mean, if you empathize with whites, people of European descent, you can get in trouble. But if you are white, people will try to attack you if you're not, if you don't show the right, um, if they see you as having views that that aren't good.
If you're white and you say that white people should love their own people, you're in trouble. If you're a black guy with a long history of criminality and you're breaking the law with methamphetamine and fentanyl and you have the coof like Howard and you resist arrest and you die, then blacks will riot across the Western world. So it's an interesting world that we live in.
I think we're gonna have. I think maybe sooner or later we will have a holiday. I mean, you know, in LA they actually have a Johnny Cochran Middle School. Did you know that? Did anyone here know that?
Well, yeah, they've got a bunch of really crazy.
Johnny Cochran Middle School. Do they give free lunch programs and breakfast for the kids?
My kids will graduate from Al Sharpton University, so
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
Well, by that time it'll be changed to George Floyd High School, and maybe they'll get a George Floyd scholarship.
Yeah, and they've gotten rid of the SATs, so I know that my kids will be. Oh, well, I'll tell them to self-identify as black trans, so they'll definitely get in there no matter the SAT scores.
Yeah. So you can go there right now because George Floyd is almost a saint figure. Perhaps next year they will be talking about having a holiday named after him. And maybe fentanyl and things like that will come on sale. You can
Caesar Floyd Day.
Caesar Floyd Day, and you get your fentanyl and maybe a 40-ounce. Now we have political Woodstock.
Whoops.
Happy. Should we say early on Happy George Floyd Day?
No, you need to stop that. That's insidious. Just 1 or 5 of those progressives hear that, they'll start doing a petition.
Really?
So don't give them ideas. Well, yeah, they do that place where everybody does petitions at.
You know what? That's funny enough. I think Joe and I. Here's the thing. I think Joe and I are going to start a petition to start, and I'll film it, to start to have a holiday for George Floyd.
No.
Yes,
I'm going to talk some sense into you two.
Don't talk about Santa Floyd like that.
Saint Floyd.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Santa Floyd is coming. And maybe who's the other guy? He wrote children's books. And he was actually put Tookie Williams. We're gonna have Tookie Williams Day.
Who is that?
You never heard of Tookie Williams?
Death Row. I don't know. 6, maybe 9, 10 years ago. I can't remember now exactly. It's been a while though. but there was a whole deal with stopping his execution at midnight. Brian, I think he ended up getting cooked, right?
Yeah.
Did they kill him? Good.
They actually
He was in Oakland, I think, California. The last death, right? Last death penalty here in California.
Yeah, it was Tookie Williams.
Well, at least you know how to execute. In Oklahoma, they do not know how to execute. They were banned from getting the drugs, that they inject to kill a person. They couldn't even purchase them because they screwed it up every time for, I think, 5 or 6 executions.
Well, in the electric chair.
Well, think about it.
Shooting.
Angela, would you want to be the person to flip that switch?
Yes.
You want that karma on you? Really?
Well, they have 2 people that flip the switch, as you say, and it's a 3-part. I've read about this 3-part process. It's not that hard to mix the drugs. How can you get that wrong? I mean, they have a doctor there, verifying it's the right way, and they still screw it up. How can you mess up an execution? Why not just take them out in the back and shoot them? That's simple.
I truly don't believe anybody really wants that onus of killing somebody on them. They just don't. I mean, it's just a difficult thing to do at the end of the day. I don't know.
JP, you're such I don't get you.
Well,
bring back the rope, and we'll install 2 levers.
Oh, don't say the rope. Someone will show up.
Yeah, no. I don't know you guys.
Even if it's completely randomized, still somebody's got to flip that switch, and ultimately somebody will have a debt to pay on there for something that somebody did not do to them. It's just I'm just being technical about it. Of course, I just would not ever want to be the one to administer that.
Well, JP, I got to say this. Jesus said, "Render unto Caesar's what is Caesar's, and render unto God what is God's." You're talking about the law. In a lot of states, there's more than one person that flips the switch.
Oh yeah, and I get it. I haven't read into it like you. I probably should, and I probably overcome this kind of little mental block. But that's just how I view it from now.
Well, the Hebrew Bible also says that murderers are to be put to death.
I'm too nice. F you.
You're compassionate, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you look at states like Oklahoma that just messes it up, then I think there's reason to stay the executions. It should not take 30 to 45 minutes for a man to die.
Well,
it should be quick.
Yeah. Well, they do have they did have the gas chamber, and they had the electric chair, and they also had firing squad. Now they don't do any of that. I think what the hell's his name? The serial killer, Ted Bundy. I think he died in the electric chair. I could be wrong. I don't think it was lethal injection. I think they fried him.
Wasn't he from the East Coast? Because I think that's right.
No,
unless he was just a fictional character. We don't know. I just said.
Oh, Ted Bundy was real, buddy.
Oh,
do you believe in capital punishment at all, JP?
I'll just no. I personally, and
if you'd rather not say, that's fine too.
He died.
That's a hard answer.
It's not fine. It's a simple question. Answer the question.
I would have that conversation with you, but it really, to me, it all starts in the home, and I believe I have the right to self-defense.
Good Lord, you are such an indecisive person. You just sit on the sidelines. What's going on, bro?
I'm telling you.
Because some answers are complicated. I believe in life, preserving life. Yeah, I don't think Oklahoma should be executing people because they get it wrong so often. But then again, eye for an eye. I believe in having true justice. Doesn't bring the person back.
Sometimes
deterrent.
Go ahead.
It's sometimes called deterrent theory. Thank you.
Concluded?
Yes.
I'm just messing with you. No, sometimes executing people is saving lives.
because they save the lives of the people in the prison. I believe in it, that it's justice, and to a degree, certain murders, not all murder, but certain forms of murder. Yeah, I think it's a good idea, and I think that some crimes also need physical punishment, like they do in Singapore. Now, Joe and I did have a petition about getting caning in California, like they did in Singapore. And
we had a petition. We got some votes. I think it just eventually got flushed out of Google, but it was on there for a while. I do, and yeah, I have a lot of really deep opinions about it, about capital punishment, and it's yeah, it's an interesting topic, but it's a real deep topic, and it takes a while to kind of get to the
get off that fence, brother.
I am on no fence. Don't get it twisted, my friend.
Pick a side. Pick a side.
Well, I'll just say this.
Well, I'm against it. You know.
I believe that caning violent criminals and people that are really disruptive, like people who block streets and stuff, if you did that, I think it would be a great deterrence to crime. Physical punishment does work as a deterrent. Nobody messes with people who can kick their ass. And sometimes I think the state should be an ass kicker in some cases, not all the time, but in some cases.
Okay, not to go, not to derail the conversation, but Islam took over a large portion of the Middle East and North Africa in a very short period of time, relatively speaking. Did they do it by arguing over whether or not they should punish people for this crime or that crime, or were they brutal? Did Constantine, Emperor Constantine, did he conquer large portions of Europe through this nonsense, or did he do it through brutality? Brutality works. Islam shows us that it works. Maybe we could take a page out of their book. And I used to be against capital punishment. No longer am I against capital punishment. I think the punish should be harsh, strict, and immediate, so long as you can prove. I believe that there should be due process. However,
there's the problem, man. The system has been so screwed up for so long. I don't trust it, but I think at the end of the day, when you really start to weigh these things out in a different sort of okay, and there's so many issues, so many of the very open media presented executions. I just feel we're playing out propaganda tools. So I don't know how much of it's real or fake anyways, to begin with. That's another thing. I just haven't seen it with my own eyes. So there are, I know a lot of people have had that.
I don't know what,
Brian, maybe we can interview.
Address the fact, like what works and what doesn't work. Because brutality seems to have worked for Christians, it seems to have worked for Jews, and it seems to have worked for Muslims. These are the nations that have taken over the. It worked for the Mongolians. It worked for the Han Chinese. It's worked for many people throughout the ages. It worked for Japan for a while until obviously we kicked their. Anyway,
I would really like the opportunity to interview someone who has witnessed an execution. I hope we can find somebody that we can talk to.
Anyway,
I don't know anyone.
Do I know anyone that witnessed an execution?
If anybody out there knows anybody who has witnessed an execution, please have them email me transparencyandmerit@gmail.com. Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
I know somebody that's been executed. Does that count?
Was his name Tookie Williams?
a good friend of yours? I hope not.
No, he was my family member. He was Polly.
Ooh. And what
I'm so sorry.
was he a victim of the 3 strikes deal, or was it something else?
No, he had the bright idea to it was a domestic violence, and he was a little bit troubled, and he walked outside of his house with a kitchen knife, and the cops shot the shit out of him and also shot my aunt.
Yeah. Well, my father witnessed. I mean, by the police, my father, he told me a story. I think he was walking down Santa Monica. I think it was Santa Monica Boulevard, but he said there was a gentleman, I guess a Latino gentleman, who was driving a car, and he hit a parked car. The hubcap of that car went off and hit a woman in the neck, gashed her neck. The police came. The guy ran for it, and the police shot him as he was fleeing. And he said he watched the priest went to read the person his rights, and the guy gave him the middle finger, and there was actually a picture of him.
Whoa.
Giving the middle finger, and my dad said, yeah, his last act was giving the bird.
I respect it.
I'll just say this from what I did earlier in my career as a psychotherapist. I worked for about 5 years in as a grief counselor, grief therapist, and specifically for victims of violent crimes, survivors, like surviving family members. And I would say a good percentage of the cases I had in those early days, at least, a good percentage of those involved fatalities from police officers. It was so, it happens a lot, and it's over. I just saw a video a week or two ago, a colleague had sent me, and it was a very similar situation as to what you explained. And I've seen it in movies. And I think that, what was that movie with Michael Douglas where he goes berserk in Los Angeles, Brian? What was that called?
Oh, Falling Down.
Falling Down ends that way, right? Doesn't he point a gun and they shoot him, the police shoot him dead, but he still has that last act of pulling the trigger and it just says pop.
It's an anti-white movie made by a non-white person, and he points a squirt gun at him, but he basically brings his death upon himself. And I'd like to do these movie things with you guys, but
sure, anytime.
A very, very close friend of mine, my best friend in the world, witnessed decapitation. I'm not justifying this brutalistic nature, but what I'm saying is it is a deterrent, and it does work. And whether these people have mental ailments or not, you can do things. You can do things. Sorry.
No, go for it. Go ahead.
You can do things in your life that, honestly, it really doesn't matter if we could study them and figure out what causes people to go down these terrible paths and learn something from it so that we can prevent it and save more lives. That's one thing, but we don't. We lock them in cages.
I think a lot of people are starting to point fingers at the right directions, the true roots of so many of these mental deficiencies, or the cookies, as I call them, or a lot of these kind of, I don't know, anomaly. They're almost like anomalies, but they're too plentiful to be anomalies. They happen a lot, frequently. But how much of that has been tied into the three big components? One is parents who understand their rights, and education, and just kind of how the work, our whole economy.
I have no idea what you're even talking about.
Well, I'm giving reasons about potential reasons for why these major factors is what I'm getting at is programming and the effects of programming on people, and government, media, and education, parts of government, like in our economy, education, I think are major factors in really distorting how life could be. So if there were, and so I'm just saying, as a counter to what you're pointing to, I'm coming from, listen, I get what you're saying. To me, it sounds kind of like, I guess if I were to air quotes up, sounds real life kind of stuff. I just think that we're at such a frigging impasse that is so epic, and it's going to show in so many ways. Listen, there's going to be one day, there's going to be an end to the stock market. Okay. It's going to blow. I don't know. If it's the end, but it's going to blow up, and it's going to be massive, like a tsunami. It's going to fuck everybody up that's in the market, unless they're prepared, right? Unless they have understood that this current deal that we have going on on Wall Street is not sustainable. If that, everybody took the common sense strategy to address that, just understand that and know the market's not going to blow up tomorrow. There's going to be indicators you could follow, but if you're not prepared, those not prepared and pretending nothing's wrong, they're going to be in for a world of hurt. So I'm sorry I got so sidetracked, but just took
I honestly have absolutely no idea what you're talking about at this point.
I'm so sorry, but one day you could actually hit rewind on this, and you're going to hear it, and you're going to be like, oh shit, I get it.
Okay, I'll just say violence works, like it or not.
Well, as a pacifist, I don't look at violence as a solution to really to anything. Except maybe as a final solution. I mean, that really is a last resort. So I think the pen will always be mightier than the sword. So fundamentally, I disagree with you on that point. And that's okay.
Well, hey, we have the right to do so. Your voices are breaking up again, and I know that it's probably on my end. So I guess I'll drop it. I think I've said everything that I need to say, and I wish you guys the happiest new year of your lives. And,
Donning, you could, if you could sleep being this wrong, then I salute you.
Okay, no, challenge accepted. Let me come back into the stream because I can't understand anything that you're saying at this point.
I'm sorry. Maybe you need a cup of some orange juice. Oh, maybe he's just literally not hearing us. I think that's
I just think he comes from a different perspective.
Brian, maybe you heard me, and you. No, I think he just literally. Brian, am I just crazy cuckoo here? Am I making any sense?
I come from. I have a different perspective. That's all I have to say.
That is not what I asked you. I asked you if you understood what I was saying. If I was being coached, I don't care if you fucking agree with me.
You bloviated. Sorry, I didn't mean to raise my voice.
You can raise your voice on your own time. Okay, bye-bye.
Are you going to kick me off again?
Do not kick her off.
I was playing solitaire, and I mentioned it in the YouTube chat. Because I was listening to you guys. I'm sorry, I was playing solitaire.
Yes. Okay. Next time anybody tells me what not to do, they will get booted.
Don't tell me what not to tell you.
I'll accept that. That's okay.
But I mean,
Brian, did it make any sense?
I was looking at my work schedule, so I wasn't really paying attention. But there are a lot of things that you say I don't see it that way, and I don't agree with it. I'm a person.
But that's not what I asked you. I didn't ask you if you agreed with me. Again, I only asked you if it made sense to you. Did you hear what I said? Did you were you able to calculate what I was saying?
I'm going to be okay. You're not going to like me for this, but I did not. I was so engrossed in my work schedule.
That's okay.
I was writing an email at the time, so
and Donnie's drunk, so it's okay. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't think
Donnie.
He is not drunk.
Wow. It's the holidays. Shit. I'm no.
Listen, we were talking about capital punishment and if you agree with it or not, and can it possibly save lives? And now you're talking about the friggin' economy. Nobody knows what you were saying. Everybody went off and did their own thing. Angela went to go play solitaire, and Brian went to go check his work schedule.
It meandered a little bit. Sorry to cut you off. It meandered a little bit. But JP has.
Okay, I'm sorry. I muted her for a second. Donnie, I wanted you to finish your point.
Yeah, I was just okay. Look, I asked you a simple question.
Okay.
Does harsh punishment diminish the likelihood of atrocities? And then you started talking about the economy. No wonder why they started doing other things.
I was drawing a parallel, and you'll definitely, if you go back, I'm not kidding. If you go back, I know exactly what I said. So I'm not going to say it again. But if you do go back one day, you don't have to do it, but one day you might. Maybe make a marker for this show. Because I think what I said was the very epitome of what I currently accept. And I could be wrong. But in my experience, the pen will always be stronger than the pen will always be mightier than the sword. There's no exception, only on individual levels and experiences. Hopefully, those experiences. What do they say? What doesn't kill you will only make you stronger. I learned the hard way in so many ways in life. But I continue to move forward. So that's why I don't want to go back on that. But I hope you do and listen to that. And maybe even if you don't listen to that, we can have another discussion about this very topic.
I promise you, brother, I will listen to it. I always re-listen to streams just to make sure that I wasn't a complete idiot. So I will re-listen to it. Don't worry about that.
I'm not an idiot. I probably just, maybe I did meander and it was a little off topic. So I know that, but I feel what you're saying there. It makes sense.
Well, and if ever you want to have a fight, then you bring your pen and I'll bring a sword. We'll see who wins.
I mean, that is I'm sorry. I thought Angela.
It's a great idea. But I have a question for everyone.
I absolutely agree with that 100%, by the way. I am up for that challenge at any time.
So tomorrow night, what is everyone doing? Because I'm going to be doing something that JP will be very jealous of.
Going to a Ku Klux Klan rally?
No, I'm going to be at the Price Tower, the only skyscraper that Frank Lloyd Wright designed and had built.
Nice.
And they have the olive drop, for the New Year's Eve. It's going to be so much fun. And I have a friend that has a room there. That place leaks real bad because of the design. But I wanted to rub that in. I'll be having a good time in the halls of Frank Lloyd Wright's Price Tower.
Well, I thought she was going to say psychoanalyzing a sociopath, but I hope that you have a wonderful time at the tower and enjoy yourself. It's the New Year's. It's the happiest time of the year, isn't it?
Now, what are you going to be doing, Donnie, for ushering in the new year?
Drinking.
Oh, there we go. I'm probably going to be doing nothing but staying at home, and I might do a show. I've noticed on my work schedule that I am going to be working early in the morning, which I do not like. Anyway, I got to get myself to bed. Joey,
what's he doing tomorrow night? What's JP doing tomorrow night?
Comment because it's really nice, and I think it's a good point. She said, I used to think the pen was mightier than the sword, but I'm not so sure now. And this is exactly what I was kind of getting at, and I would have gone down this road ultimately, but it's a topic for an entire show. I'm glad you said what you said. So I'm going to make note of that, and we're going to get into this a little deeper because now you're getting into areas that I find super important, and they, I think,
Well, Nathan is right.
they transcend racism, in my view. They transcend so many of these things, but like I said, I learned things the hard way. I always have in life, but this is one thing that I've held super close to my overall ideals since I was young. It's not like there's some websites on the internet or YouTube or some other hosts or something that are presenting information that is cultish or guiding. These are kind of like my earliest thoughts that I could process, and I've held those somewhere close to who I am as a person throughout my life. It gets scattered around because of life, right? You take a job or whatever, relationships and all these things kind of fuck with that initial, like all these kind of, ideals of yourself. And
I'll send you a teddy bear. Will that help you, JP?
I know I'm getting
sometimes holding on to a teddy bear can be very healing.
Yeah. All right, guys. I gotta get
to both of my white brothers and my white sister, I love you guys, and I hope you guys have a wonderful new year, and we can save that for another time. Happy New Year, everybody.
You're very well. You're well.
Okay. Sleep well as you sit there tossing and turning and going, what the hell was JP just talking about? It's going to be great. I cannot wait. In fact, if you could self-record tonight, like before you go to bed, just to see in the morning, how is your experience passing out and falling asleep after hearing all of this nonsense?
Well, Joey, I think you should do a show about and entitle it.
It's on its way, dude. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No,
in the sword.
It's coming.
But I have to get myself to bed. So
it is getting late. What day are you off next, Brian? I'm
Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, sweet. All right, we'll work this out. Maybe. Let's talk tomorrow. But thank you, Angela, and thank you, Mr. Donning Armor.
Hey guys, I just want to say subscribe, visit our Rumble page. That is also in the description. I want people to visit that and basically subscribe to our Rumble page, because if this show ever gets taken down, that's where we're gonna go. Anyway, anything to subscribe, and share the video if you get anything about it. And Rumble's not that good, but you know what? It's right now a place that allows more freedom of speech than YouTube. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Good night and all the best.